All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Part number two for the Q&A for your lecture series number one, week one. I got one question from the chat from Kaja right away. So they were asking, if, can I remove all the comments from the lab after I finish or to submit? Because they want to make their code as short and neat as possible. Will they lose any marks if they do that? Okay, so let me address this question here. It might be some concern for some of you, okay? So basically, when you submit your lab or even your programming test, right? Okay, for both of them. So now, eventually you want to submit. So now, before you submit, is it really necessary to remove all the comments? Is it okay? How about that? Is it okay to remove the comments to really make your code nice, neat? Because maybe if you document a lot about your code, maybe you got many lines of comments. So I would say, number one, yes, you can do it. And also, yes, you can do it. And also, you won't lose mark. Negative. You will not lose marks. Okay, that's number one. However, number two. Okay. Yeah, so number two, I would say you should not remove the comment. Let me tell you why. You should not remove the comments. The main reason is, as I try to emphasize in the lecture and also in the tutorial videos. So comments, they are very valuable documentation for your code. So you can think about, you write the comments may not be just for yourself, but maybe for your future colleagues who may have to actually work with you. Maybe not in this course, but maybe later. Let's say later you're a Java developer, and you may not be the only person working on the same project in your team. In that case, if you have to pass along your code for your colleagues to take over, so you better not handing a version that has no comments. Your colleagues wouldn't appreciate it very much. So I would say, number one, yes, you can remove the comments. It wouldn't cost you any loss of marks. However, number two, I wouldn't recommend you do it. You should really keep all your comments over there. So for future reference. All right. So that's the answer to Kajang. From Solmans, our lab zero had to be like your lecture exactly. What do you mean? So Solmans, would you mind speaking up? I'm not too sure about your question. You want to speak up to clarify?
Hi, Professor.
Hi, please.
Actually, I want to know when I watch your lectures or Java tutorial for Lab Zero,
Yep.
you did lots of exercises in Eclipse. I want to know for Lab Zero, we needed to do exactly what you did in your lecture.
In the tutorial videos, yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
So I think yeah. So Solomons, what you're saying is basically for lab number zero, you're right.
Yep.
That one there depends on the Java tutorial week one, right? So that one there, yes, you're gonna type exactly the same. So that's actually for submission purpose. It's only for your first lab, like lab number zero. However, later on, for your lab number one, all the way to lab number 8, there will still be Java tutorial video week number 2 all the way to week 12, something like that. However, as we actually made clear in your lab 1 instruction, so all the tutorial videos starting from week number 2, they are not required for submission. However, you wouldn't be recommended to skip them because they are really designed and created really for your own good to really help you get to a very good position to start your lab. Because we assume most of your fellow students in the course, they're actually only beginners to Java. So that's why we really want to give you some more practical experience about Java beyond the lecture. So I would say starting from week number 2 for your Java tutorial, you don't really need to have the pressure about typing exactly what I type on the Eclipse. However, you're really encouraged to follow them as much as possible because the more you practice, I think the more proficient you are in the Java programming. And then later on, when you actually are given programming tests, number 1, 2, 3, 4, you will be able to do better.
Thank you.
So, okay, I hope that answered your question. All right, good. Okay, one question from Ahmed. Does that make the tutorials more important than the lecture? You know what? It's a very interesting question here. I wouldn't like to give too much like a weight discrimination between lectures and also tutorial. Think about it's like a two parts for the course, right? Think about if this is basically what you have to study, let's say for 1022, conceptually speaking, I would say roughly about half, right? Just about receiving information from me. So I would say one half would be just the lecture. So this part will be the lecture. You can think about the lecture will be more about conceptual and also theoretical knowledge over there. Although sometimes I might show you a little bit Eclipse, but I wouldn't really type in too much code together with you in the lectures. But I would say lecture is no less important than tutorial. And also tutorial is no less important than the lectures. I think they're equally important. On the other hand, you also got your Java tutorial on the other hand over here. So that will be the other part over here. So that will be your tutorial, the weekly one. Weekly tutorials. Yeah, you can think about these are more to really give you some more practical experience. Okay, experience. And now let's be a little bit maybe more relevant to what you might be also concerned about. So in terms of helpfulness for each one of them, so which one might be more relevant to your maybe exam, and which one might be more relevant to your programming test, etc. I would say for the lectures, it would be just more. I'm not saying completely, right? Just more relevant to your written test and also your exam. And then for your weekly Java tutorial videos, they are a little bit more relevant to your programming tests. However, I'm not really saying in order to study your programming test, you can completely disregard the lecture. That's not what I meant. I'm just saying more relevant. So when you study later for the programming test, don't worry, I'm going to give you some guidance later this week. So for example, when you study the programming test, you want to maybe focus a little bit more about what you were given in the weekly tutorial videos and also what you did in your lab assignments. And then, assuming that you also follow along the weekly lecture, I think you should be okay, right? So I think both are important. That's my point. You shouldn't really think one is more important than the other, not necessarily. So they are equally important. All right. All right. That's about the question from the chat. All right. So I think, guys, I haven't seen any new question from the Google Doc, right? That's kind of predictable because number one, the week one lecture is only about elementary programming. So I would not think there will be many questions from there. If you haven't really finished your week number one lecture, I would say you're a little bit behind already in the course. So please catch up, as soon as you can. And number two, since we already covered many of the questions already yesterday, it was a full 2-hour session yesterday. So you can refer to the recording on the YouTube and then catch up, right? If you want to find out what we talked about yesterday. Another question from Armin. What is the percentage of the final marks for weekly lab? I think you can refer to the syllabus. We got a grading scheme table over there. I didn't memorize it. You can take a look. That one specifies exactly how many percent you got, right? Can I, from Ashken, can I explain what is remote lab exactly? All right, that's an interesting question. Remote labs. I suppose most of you are actually using your own machine to run the Eclipse and complete your tutorial and the labs, and maybe later on your programming test, right? So remote labs, you can think about it's more like a connection to the Williams Small Center machines. Actually, because I think most of you actually already taking the course in 1012 or 1015 online. So you wouldn't be have been able to been to the Williams Small Center anyway. So you can think about remote labs. It's more like a backup option. Okay, so anyway, so remote labs. You can think about it's more like a backup option. If Eclipse on your machine fell, which may happen. So this is why, as part of the lab number 0, I kind of guided you through about how to really launch the Eclipse and also how to use GitHub on your remote labs. So that's more like a backup option. So in case if your machine failed, but if you're lucky enough, maybe your machine simply just keep working throughout the semester. In that case, you don't even have to touch remote labs. So it's like a backup option. Yeah. So Sahab. So that's right. So if you want to know about the marking scheme, about how many % is for each assessment, refer to the syllabus. I think that'll be the authoritative guide for you to refer to, right? All right, guys. Any more questions? No problem. Is there something else we can refer to if we are not too familiar with Java terms? Ahmed, are you talking about theoretical knowledge or you're talking about practical knowledge? Because when you say familiar with Java terms, are you talking about just theoretical knowledge? Is that what you meant? Or just not familiar with Java programming? Ahmed, you want to speak up? You know, it's okay. We can have a dialogue. So if you want to speak up, that might be easier.
No, just that my background was like very loud. So my question was, if we're not too good with like the Java shortcuts, like in Python we have like shortcuts we use to write codes faster. Like if we're not too good with like the Java shortcuts, like where do we refer to?
Oh, okay, sure. So Armin's question was, I think, okay, maybe I can talk about two things over here. So I think you're more talking about Java programming. First of all, you want to be more effective about Java programming. So if you want to get better for Java with Java programming, so there are two things you can work on. Okay, number one, you can since we program on Eclipse, right, for this course. So if you want to know the shortcut, for the various, code completion or maybe shortcut, for example, you can see in the tutorial video, I simply say sys out, right, and then I say command space, and then you can complete system out the print line. That's one example. If you want to know all about these, just for your self-interest, you can just Google for shortcuts in Eclipse, like a keyboard shortcut. And then you'll see many references over there. And then you don't need to know all of them. I would say if you didn't really know about a shortcut for typing the code, I don't think you'll be having too much disadvantage in the test. You can take my words for that. Because I think that the most important thing when you take a programming test is really about whether you know about the logic for the solution that you want to code in. So I think that'll be more important. So that's why I want to talk about the second thing over here. So that'll be number one, about the shortcut in the Eclipse. You can definitely find it out about how you can type a particular method maybe more quickly or to use the various shortcut in the Eclipse. That's okay, right? That's number one. However, I don't think number one will be the crucial part you should really spend too much time on. I think for number two, you will just need more practice, right? Just more coding experience. Okay, so now I would say, of course, you're gonna complete your weekly, your lab assignments for sure for grading. You want to complete lab assignments, but we don't really give you that much, because we have to somehow stay, within some workload recommendation by Lausanne. So I would say lab assignment, you really want to finish them as soon as possible in the week. So you will have some spare time if you wish to actually drill further your programming technique. So as soon as possible, so that you have some spare time to do the following, okay? So it will be the Java tutorial from winter 19, right? So I kept talking about this particular tutorial series. All right, so if you don't mind, let me just refer to you again. I think it's quite a comprehensive tutorial series for you to try. So now, if you simply go to our lecture site, and then if you simply click on over here, right, the winter 19 tutorials in Java. So whenever you see the start of your weekly Java tutorial or your lectures, I always talk about which videos you can also study for that particular week. So I think that will be another extra practice you can do. But that was optional. I cannot expect every one of you to really be able to spare the time or spare the will to do it. So I would say that's kind of leave to the ambitious ones. All right. Another one you can try. Similar, you can do something similar as well. There is a website called Coding Bet. Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay, and I actually included a link from your introductory slides over there, but I'll just go there. Okay, let me go to the website and I'll show it to you. Give me one moment. Coding Bet. There we go. All right. So if you actually go to this particular website here, it's called Coding Bet. All right. Actually, they got both Java and Python. So maybe some of you who took 1015 last term, I'm not sure if you have seen this already. Maybe not. That's okay. So I think for Java over here, they actually got some exercises over here. You know, some exercise about maybe some warm up, something about array, something about logic, something about well, I think that we only cover only up to array for this course. Just some extra exercises for you. And then you can always Google for extra Java exercises to really do a little bit more programming tasks. You can do that. All right. So I think again, it's a programming course, I know, and so that means your the amount of resources outside the lecture is really unbounded. I think within what I can do, I try to give you as focused as possible weekly tutorial videos. But for those of you who really find that you might be very hungry about what you can really get about Java knowledge, so I would say you just rely on some web resources. That's okay. So for any extra exercises you actually decide to do, if you got any questions, you can feel free to drop by my office hour or just get in touch. I can give you some guidance further. All right. All right, Armin, is that okay? So that's a very quick response to your question, I hope.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. And then another from Armin, okay, about are the schedule labs mandatory? No, they are not mandatory, as I said many times, but that's okay. Schedule labs. So think about we got section N taught by me, and also we got another section taught by another instructor. So I think throughout the week you can look at the eClass site. Okay, we got a schedule lab session on Monday, and also Wednesday, and also Thursday, and also Friday. You can check out the exact time on the eClass, right? I didn't memorize them, but I think that there's one session on Monday, so one session on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, also 1 on Friday. So in total, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them are simply just optional. They are simply just a TA Q&A session. We publicize the Zoom URL for all the TAs. So whenever you want to ask questions, just zoom in to the TA during the scheduled time, and then they will try to help you with your labs. But you may just want to speak to them as early as possible, right? So Armin, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Anything else? Yeah, so guys, I think another very gentle reminder, if you look at your calendar there, I think week number 5, right? Week number 5. I think week number 5, right before the reading week, on the week of week number 5, let me just write it down, right? On week number 5, you actually got your first written test, right? You can look at the calendar. Of course, in week number 4, you also got your programming test, but let me talk about written test specifically. So I think for your written test, it is going to cover the lecture materials for sure. And most likely it's going to cover from week number 1 to week number 4. But I will confirm about this. later. I'm going to send you some guidance as well. But so that means you don't really want to procrastinate on studying the lecture materials because, well, we could have actually given to you maybe weekly quizzes. We could have, but we kind of decided not to do so. So you will have to somehow push yourself to make sure for every week, you really have to finish your weekly assigned lecture materials and also Java tutorials. So you don't really actually accumulate them to the next week. So later on, when you study for the written test, if you somehow didn't follow any lectures whatsoever, and then you don't want to expect yourself to really watch lectures 1 to 4 within 2 days. That's too much. You definitely feel overwhelmed. All right. So my point is, try to really do maybe 1 or 2 videos per day, so you can also properly digest the contents. All right. All right. Any more questions?
I have a question quickly.
Of course, please.
For the written tests, does that mean actually handwritten, or can we use word processors?
Sorry, I don't quite catch you. Can you say that again?
The written tests. Can we use word processors, or do we have to like handwrite it and show? No, that would be.
You mean for the programming test?
No, the written tests.
The written test. Yeah. What about written test? Sorry.
Like what format?
What format? Okay, I see. So the exact formats I will tell you later. Okay. So I'll make sure you got at least 1 week to really get ready for the written test. So for written test, you're asking about the formats over here. Okay, the format. Okay. So number 1 is going to be taking place on E-class. More specifically, it's going to take place in the N E-class site. Okay. And then that's where it's going to take place. And number 2, so what's going to be the formats? It's primarily multiple choice, mostly. So for example, you might have maybe some question there where you got a question and then you got different answer. You simply got to choose the correct one answer. Or it could be that you got some question there and then you got different answers over there, right? And then the correct answer might be more than one, in which case you're going to choose maybe more than one, right? 2 types already. And it could be, yeah, so these are the typical ones. I will try to give you guys maybe some like an example questions. May not be exhaustive, but maybe some example question at least you would know the formats. Did you guys take any quizzes or on the E-class before? I presume you have, right? Either from 1012 or 1015. So it's something very similar, although the style of the question might be different because I might have different questions from Amir or from Michael. So I think, but the format will be something similar. So whatever format that E-class might support. Another thing, okay, mostly multiple choice, and also there will be possibly, I don't know yet, there might be some written question. And when I say written question, maybe you're given some question there, and then there will be an answer box over here, and then you just have to type your answer over here manually, and then there will be some TA who's going to grade your written answer. On the other hand, for all the multiple choice, they will be graded automatically, of course, right? So that'll be the format. Does that answer your question?
Professor, I have a question.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay, good. Yes, please, go ahead.
Me or the other one?
You, please.
Sorry, I want to know, we need to transfer our assignment from Eclipse to GitHub account, okay? And after that, we need to remove all of them from Eclipse, or we can keep it?
You can keep it. Okay, you can keep
Okay.
it. Yeah, so the question was, remember, okay, so thinking this way, you don't want to delete them, of course. No, you don't want to, definitely not. Think about if this is your Eclipse, right? You got your package explorer, and then you got as many projects as you like, throughout the semester, at least 12. Actually, you know what? In total, you will get about maybe at least 24 projects throughout the semester because you got one project for the lab assignment. You got also another project for your weekly tutorial video, at least on a weekly basis, right? I know for 12 weeks. Anyway, you got many projects over there. Good. And then I would say, okay, that's good. I can explain conceptually the workflow. You can think about Eclipse every week once you're done with your labs, and also, of course, yeah, let's say once you're done with your lab, and also for your weekly tutorial video, you should always try to commit and also to push to the GitHub cloud, right? Assuming that you already follow Lab Zero to create your GitHub private repository, right? This is a private repository for the GitHub. So I would say this will be a very nice chance for you to really practice about backing up your projects, software project. I think that can also benefit you later when you get to a second year or third year. Okay, so that will be about it. And then what about the E-class? You can think about every time, let's say this week you're done with this particular assignment over here, and then what you will do is you're going to export it, maybe EECS, let's say, EECS1022 underscore W21, and then let's say lab number 5, for example. Okay, once you export it, what you do is you're going to upload it to E-class. And your question is, once you have done this uploading, should you actually delete what you got on your local machine? No, you don't need to, right? You should really keep all your work. So does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Guys, any more questions? Any more? So I presume everybody coming, well, we don't really have a large number, but that's okay. At least for those of you who actually came, I'm sure you're still within the pace for the course. You keep up your pace with the weekly tutorial videos, with the lectures. And then I think maybe next week, you might have more question about if statements for the coming 2 weeks, actually. And then after that, we'll talk about loops. I think the way I'm going to cover loops, I'll be very thorough about how loops can really occur in your method implementation. So we're going to spend some exciting 2 weeks on the loops later. And then we're going to go into the reading week. So after the reading week, we still got 7 more weeks to finish the semester. So for those 7 weeks, we're going to cover, you can look at your tentative topics. Most likely, we're going to cover, number 1, we're going to cover about objects. So that will be really the main meat for you to pick up from this course about object orientation for sure. We're going to spend at least 3 or 4 weeks on the objects for sure. And then we're going to talk about something called two-dimensional array. You may have heard about it. If you have not, that's okay. So it's called 2D arrays. So this will be a very interesting and also a little challenging data structure for you to actually learn. So, and then lots of nice programming exercises you can do by using two-dimensional array. Right? So that'll be many good topics along the way to come. But we just do the basic first to make sure you're okay with the foundation. All right. All right, guys. Any more questions? So yeah, I can pause maybe for a few more one more moments, because if you guys have no question there, we can save the time. I will call it a day, and then we can see you. I can see you maybe next week. Let me see this. Okay, Armin. All right. My scheduled lab is on Mondays. If I miss a scheduled lab, can I attend one and ask questions? Yes, as I said over here, there we will not take any attendance for your lab, right? Maybe you were taking attendance in 1012 or 1015, but it's not the case for 1022. So let's you said Wednesday, right? Okay, on Mondays. Let's say, for example, if you missed the lab session from yesterday, let's say somehow you couldn't attend, that's okay. You can still go to Wednesday, you can still go to Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, or you can still go to Friday. You can go to as many as you like, basically. All right. All right, guys. Yeah, yes, please. Somebody wanted to speak up? I thought. Okay, never mind. Guys, final call for any questions. Final call. All right, everybody seems to be okay. Yeah, thank you for coming. And then, yeah, just off you go to do your work, and then get in touch if you got any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. All right, take care.
Have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye.